All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Now, let's go over some core concepts. What is a variable? You can answer, you can just unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat. What is a variable?
I'm the placeholder, I believe.
Okay.
Like an item or a name.
Okay, what else?
Container.
A container. All right, all these answers are technically correct, but what I'm looking for is it's a container, okay? Variable is a container that holds a value. It's basically like a box. So let's say you're moving apartments, you're moving house, and you ask your friends to come over and help you move, okay? Those cardboard boxes or those plastic bins that you're using to put everything inside, those are like variables. They're going to hold content inside, and they're going to be able to help you move things around. And like a box, it can be reused, it can be emptied, and you can put different labels on it. So the same box can have your clothes, it can have your junk, it can have your your lamps and furniture. So it is a container that can change value and name. Name or content. Okay. How about this? What's data?
Small pieces of information.
Okay. All right, does it have to be small pieces of information?
No.
Okay, it could be just information then. It can be just information, but what type of information can it be?
Organized or unorganized?
Okay, that's all right. Well, I'm looking for something more specific.
Values, either texts, numbers.
Yes, information that has value. So, pretty much anything anywhere is data to us. This bottle of water, it's data to me. I look at it, it has a value of a metal container that holds water. So that is some sort of data to me. If I look at the number of emails I have in my inbox this morning, that is data. That's a number. It's a number that's really big that I haven't parsed through yet. So it could be a number, it can be a letter. Data can be a letter that you receive from a friend saying, hey, how are you doing? This is my life. It can be many types of values. So let's go over the types of data values that we will see in JavaScript and writing algorithms. Okay. Before we do that, let's say, what is an algorithm?
A set of instructions?
Yes. An algorithm is a set of instructions. Okay, but let's dive a little bit further into what this concept of an algorithm is, and then we'll go back into variables and data. So let's just get a broad overview of where we're going with all this questions here, and then we'll dive into what this means for us. Okay, so it's a set of instructions to solve a problem. Thank you, Christian. And it's not just a specific set of instructions. It's a set of instructions to solve a problem given any circumstance. So this past year, I thought I'd get myself one of these things here. It's a Rubik's Cube. And any way I mix it up, there's going to be a set of instructions that I can follow that, given any combination, I should be able to put it back together to the colors to the right spaces. Okay. I'm not very good at that thing, so I won't mix it up. So let's go ahead and dive further into why we need to know these concepts. Okay. A set of instructions to solve a problem given any given different circumstances. Okay. And so let's go back to the concept of a variable. Okay. A variable, like we said, is a container, and we use variables to contain data to solve algorithms. Okay, so let's focus on this for now. They can be reused. And they can vary, right? Like we said, in order, if we're going to use the concept of a box, we're going to conceptualize and say, to be able to use these boxes and move them around properly, they need labels. Okay. Labels describe. They need labels. They need to describe the contents of the box. So you don't want to put the wrong label on a box that says, you don't want to put your junk with the box label that says valuable items and vice versa. You don't want to put the label junk on all your most valuable boxes. Okay. So you want to have correct labels for all the items that you're using. So we want to think about how to name our variables. And let me ask you guys this. Do the labels matter to the computer? To the language that you're speaking on the computer?
No.
As far as reference, when you reference them, other than that, no.
Right. So they're more for the programmer to read and understand what the, you're communicating to other programmers as well, as saying, this variable has this label for this reason. You can name a variable multiple things. So let me put that answer there. So let me just go ahead and explain how we create a variable in JavaScript. Okay, as you can see here on the left-hand side, I have this example.js. This .js at the very end signifies that this file that I've created is a JavaScript file. Okay, without getting too deep into what JavaScript means, let's just go very basic and say it's a programming language. Okay, it's a programming language that we're going to use, and it's common throughout the web. So we're going to need to get familiar with this language, because you're going to use it with your projects next week. And when you take an interview test, you're most likely going to have to pick a language and do an algorithm test. And so getting familiar with this now is the best thing for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with how to make a variable. Okay, we need the var keyword. Okay, so let's go ahead and make some variables. Okay, the only rule here is that the keyword cannot be var, because we're already using that as the signifier that this following item that we're going to, this following box that we're going to call, you can't label a box, for example. So this variable that we're going to use, we're not going to call it variable, we're going to call it other things. So let's name some variables. Okay, so I've called this variable AAAA because it doesn't matter to the computer what I call it. But this equal sign says the contents inside this variable is Josh. Okay, so it doesn't matter what I call the variable name, the computer will understand that this, whatever this label for this box, it's both a label and a box, whoops, the contents inside, it's going to equal Josh in quotations. Okay, but I'm going to just say name because that's a little bit less confusing. Okay, we can say var instructor equals Christian. Okay, now we have an instructor that we've called Christian. So again, this is another variable with another name. So let's think of I'm going to think of a few more, then I'm going to ask you guys for some variable names just for fun. Okay, var first name equals Heidi. So now this variable called first name is going to equal Heidi, instructor Heidi. Okay, let's think of a few more. All right, var last name. What can I give this last name?
Smith.
Smith. Great. Okay, so let's go over how this will affect JavaScript, how these variables will how they come into play. Okay, so I want to go over the concept of the console. All right, so the console is a place where a place where you can print variables and other stuff. We'll just call it stuff for now, because I don't want to get too complicated here. So let's go ahead and pull up our console. So I want to print something to the console. In order to pull this up, I would either go to the very top here and click terminal and click new terminal, or I can do a shortcut. On my keyboard, it's option tittle. Tittle is the symbol next to the number 1 at the top of the keyboard. So if I do that, oh, actually it's control tittle. And so if I say node, and I put the name of the file that I'm working on, example.js, it will console log here if I have something to console. It will log, this is the terminal, this is the console. It will log here what I am trying to log. So I will log something now, console.log, and inside the parentheses, I'm going to signify what I want the console to print. So right now I want the console to print last name. So in order to, let me move this zoom annotation thing here. In order to print this again, I just need to press the up arrow. The console remembers everything that I've typed in it previously. So if I press the up arrow, oh, why is it doing that? It will print whatever I asked it to console log. Okay, I also have this cool feature up here that will print to the console as well. So if I press this here, it'll run and it will print here Smith, because that is the value of the last name here on line 24. I can put anything in this console log. I can put multiple things in this console log. I can put a last name, then first name. So now there's a person called Heidi Smith. Okay. Or Smith Heidi. And that's how you use this. Okay. This is just a place that you can log code. It doesn't change the code. It just prints it to this place called the terminal or the console. So it goes by two names. Okay. Or it is, the console is in the terminal. Great. So now we know what a variable is. Okay. So now a variable can change as well. So let's go ahead and console log now last name. But what if we say last name is equal to what's another last name? Someone give me a last name. Smuck. I see Smuck as the first name I look on my screen. Okay. And now if I print this, oh, let me put the keyword there.
I think it's because of the naming, like last name, you don't have the camel case.
Oh,
yeah,
very important.
Probably don't need to have the bar.
Yes, very important. I will use this as a teaching lesson. If you don't have the exact spelling with the capitalization, it will assume it is a different variable name. So that's very important to note. Most errors come from spelling mistakes, as you just saw me do. So for now, if I print it, you'll see it was previously Smith, but because on line 29, I changed it last name to Smuck, now last name is Smuck. Okay. Now
and
for
changing it, like you also may want to remove the var over there. So remember that if you put the var in front of the variable, it means like you're creating a new one. But because right now you don't want to create a new last name, you just want to change the original box, the original container of last name. So you probably don't need to write the var over here, just like before. Yeah, with the correct, like without typo. Yeah,
I think I got mixed up because of the spelling error, and I just wanted to. So this naming convention where I capitalize the second word in the variable name, I gave you guys a hint yesterday what this is called. Can anyone tell me again what we call this?
Camelback?
Case.
Camelback. Close. Camel case. Camel case. So it's the uppercase letter of the second word and following word. So camel case. And so I don't need to write var as Heidi said. I just need to write the name of the variable and give it a different value. And so now the value of this variable has changed. Okay, and I can do this an infinite number of times. Okay, so moving along, do we all feel comfortable with understanding what a variable is and how we can define it? Give me a status check, a 1 through 10.
Hey Josh, I just have a question.
Yes.
Would the camel case make an algorithm fail during a technical interview?
No, but if you're trying to change a variable name, or if you're trying to give a new value to a variable, if you don't do the correct spelling, as you saw me do, if I do this, see, it's already giving these 3 little dots on the left-hand side of the variable are an indication that something is wrong. So Visual Studio noticed something was wrong. And so if I hover over it, it's already trying to give me a correction. It says, could not find last name. Did you mean last name with a capital N? And so I can fix this by saying, okay, quick fix. Yes, change to last name. So anytime you see those 3 little dots there, that is letting you know there's something wrong. So that is a good way to check yourself. It is Visual Studio's way of being helpful.
I will say one thing for interviews is you may not always be able to use your own code editor. You know, sometimes they've got like they'll give you a website that has its own code editor built in, or you'll have to whiteboard where you don't get any sort of, IDE support or linting or code hints or auto suggestions or anything like that. And so, it's still good to be careful and checking all these things manually before going into an interview, because although sometimes interviewers can be lenient, if they can recognize it's just a small typo, they're not going to necessarily fail you right away. But if you make a bunch of small mistakes, they can add up, and it's still something you want to be careful about.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's true. That is good to mention that. You don't always have that, like Christian said. Sometimes you have to use another editor, and you have to adapt quickly. So it's using different editors online, and you can give you links to online editors so you can get familiar. For now, just get familiar with Visual Studio. It's going to be your best friend for now. Okay. So let's all, I saw that we have a lot of 10s here for understanding what a variable is and how we can define it, how we can change it. So now we want to go over the concept of data. Okay, so there's different types of data we can assign to a variable. All right, just like we can put different types of content in a box. Some may be fragile, some may be not fragile, so you don't have to give it that value. So what are different types of data that we can use in programming, specifically in JavaScript? Types of data.
Strings and numbers.
Yes. Okay. So that was 2. All right.
Boolean.
Okay. Let's go over what each of those are. Okay. So number 1, we have a string. Okay. A string is a list of letters and words. Okay. Just like Smith is a string. Hello, my name is Smith. That's a string. It's all within this quotation. Even the spaces in between count as part of the string. Okay. What else? So we have a string. We have, someone said number. Sorry, I didn't catch who said that. All right, so this can be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is it can be any number, small, big, negative, 0, or a large number like 1, that number, not the Q's, or the W. That's not a number. So there's numbers. What other types of data can we put into a variable here?
Boolean.
A Boolean. Sounds strange, right? What is a Boolean?
Just true or false.
A Boolean has a true or false value. So if I say var test, let's say someone takes let's say you have a test to see whether you are whether you carry a virus or not yet, right? So you have to check. They stick that thing up your nose, and it says, okay, actually it's either true, you're infected, or false, you're not infected. So the true or false is what a Boolean is. Okay. And there's a couple more values that we can give the data. We can have a you can see something like this. And this means it's basically a non-value. And there's also null, which means it has no value also. So they're similar. They're not the same exact thing, but they are different types of way of saying this variable doesn't have anything in it, a value. It's empty. Okay, there's also a couple more ways that we are going to measure data. There's truthy and falsy values. So truthy can be like the number 1, and falsy can be like 0. Or 1 or true, 0 can be false. Anything that gives that true like value. So in programming, we could say 0 is false and 1 is true. And so you get the picture there. We're not going to worry about that now. Just worry about strings, numbers, and booleans. Okay. So now we're going to go over the concept of the algorithm. But before we do that, let's get a status check. Do we all understand what data is in JavaScript and the different types of data that we can use? Cool. Fantastic. All right. We're doing good. Let's see how we're doing on time. We're doing good. All right. So now we have the last concept we went over, an algorithm. It's a set of instructions to solve a problem given different circumstances. Great. Okay. Now, we are going to go over a concept called the for loop. Okay. A for loop, I'm going to write it, and I'm going to explain its different parts. Okay. So a for loop starts with the word for, and we're going to put a variable here inside these parentheses. So these are the conditions of the for loop inside these parentheses. So the first condition, I'm going to say var I equals 0. So I'm setting this variable I, which I've called I, and I'm going to give it the number value of 0. Okay, I'm going to explain why I did that in just a second. But for now, all you need to know is that it usually starts at 0. You can give it any starting point, small or big, but right now I'm just going to use it to loop through a number of indexes. Okay, so that's why I is I, because it stands for index. Okay, I for index. And so I'm going to say while I is less than 10, I want I to increase. Okay. So what did I do here? I said I is going to be 0. This variable I is going to be 0. Also, while I is less than 10, I want you to do something. Okay. Within these curly brackets, to the right of the parentheses here, it's going to do something while I is less than 10. Every time it does something, we are going to increase I by 1. Okay. So this I plus plus, it means I equals I plus 1. So I is just going to increase. So let's do something here. We are going to console log I. And let's see what this gives us. Every time we do something here, I'm going to clear my console. All I need to do to clear my console is type in the word clear. Okay. And I'm going to run this code. And so now you can see on my console, I still have the word smuck there that I need to cancel that out. Okay. Clear this again. Run this file, and now it runs 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the reason it stops at 9 is because the condition to console log this is while I is less than 10. So as soon as I becomes 10, it will stop going through this loop because it's called a for loop. Okay. This for loop is going to stop as soon as it's less than 10. And every time we console log, we're going to increase I. So we're going to go over how to do this, how to think like the computer, and do this step by step. But for now, this is what this for loop does. And there's different types of functions here that we're going to use to program JavaScript, to run JavaScript. One of the main tools that we're going to use is a for loop. Okay, this thing is very helpful. Lots of programs, most all programs use for loops. Okay. All right. Now let's get a status check if we're understanding what a for loop is and what it does. Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to go over now the concept of the T diagram. And excuse my poor drawing skills. I'm going to do my best here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this thing here. We're going to call this a T diagram. You're going to see why. Because it looks like...
Are you going down on Zoom or on Visual VS Code?
I'm using Zoom, so this is not a Visual Studio.
That would have been tight. That was VS Code.
Yeah, no, it not. Maybe soon, maybe one day. No, there's something that I'm using here, and I'm going to draw here. I'm going to write here variable. And on the right side, I'm going to write value. Okay. So let me clear this here, so this doesn't get in the way. Lower this as well. Okay. So when we are trying to understand some code, some bit of code, for example, this for loop here, a common way that we can understand what it's doing and keep track of the variable changes is by using a T diagram. And when we are coding, there's going to be so many variable changes that when you start to try to follow the algorithm just by using your eyes and your head, sometimes you can get mixed up. You won't know what the algorithm is doing until you T diagram. Also, this is going to be a great way to prove that you understand what you are coding in an interview. If you're able to T diagram, you're going to look great. You know, like when you were a student in high school or junior high, and your teacher would tell you, you know, do the algebra problem, and you know, you could do it in your head. You got so good at algebra, but you wouldn't get full credit until you could show your work, until you could prove that you knew what you were doing. You wouldn't get full credit. So this is a way to prove your work, to show your work, that you have that you understand the concept of how the algorithm works. Okay, so for this for loop, we're going to write our variables on the left and the value of the variable on the right. So as the value changes, we're going to put a comma and then put the value, the continuing value change. All right. So what variable do we have in our for loop here?
An I.
Yes, an I. Okay. And what is the first value of I?
0.
0. Great. So as we start, we have var I equals 0, and while I is less than 10, console log. So this is step 1. Let me go ahead and draw this here. This is step 1. We read this, then we read this, and then we put some spacing here. And then while I is less than 10, we do what's inside here. So then we move our eyes to this here, okay? And then after we do what's in here, then we increase I. So then our eyes turn to this section here. So this is going to be part 4, I++. And so we console log I. The first console log value, as we already saw, was 0. So while I is less than 10, we console log I, we get 0, and then we increase I. So then what's the next value of I?
1.
Right. Very simple, right? It's almost mind-numbing. 1. And then I equals 1. And then we say, then I, even though it says 0, we know it's 1. And we say, while I is less than 10, we are going to console log. So then we console log again. And at that point, we console log 1. And after we console log 1, we increase I. So then I becomes 2, so on and so forth. Okay. So let's go ahead and get a status check. And if we can understand how to do a T diagram. Okay, great. Well, then we are going to then soon break out into groups. I'm going to send you some code, and in your group, you're going to T diagram together. All right. And we're going to do that for the remaining of time that we have, another 20 minutes before we start our next lecture. But before we do that, I wanted to mention one more thing here. Let me go ahead and clear this, all of this. And let's see, what was the thing I wanted to mention here? T diagramming. Oh, I wanted to go over one more type of function that we can do here. It is an if statement. All right. Okay. In this if statement, we can also write our conditions in this parentheses here. And while this parenthesis is, if the condition is met, then we do something in here. Okay. So let's go over some if statements here. So we have here our last name. It's equal to, let's just make it equal to Smith, back to Smith, okay? If last name is equal to Smith, I want it to do something. I want to print hello in the console, okay? The difference between this here, where I said var last name equals Smith, one equal sign is assigning the value, okay? I'll write that below. One equal sign is assigning the value. the value 2 equal sign is a value check. Essentially, it's saying is equal to. So one is saying this is the value of last name. This double equal sign is saying is last name equal to. Okay. And if it is equal to, in our if statement, if it is equal to Smith, we're going to console log hello. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Run our code. We still have our for loop running. So the for loop did run. We didn't cancel that out. But at the very end here, line 73 to line 76, last name does equal Smith. So our console prints hello. Okay. Do we understand how an if statement works? Let's get a status check on that. 10. Fantastic. You guys are quick learners, apparently. Now, I'm going to break us off into groups. We're going to spread out for about 15 minutes, get to know each other a little bit, but mostly we're going to work together. I'm going to send some algorithms. We're going to T-diagram them together, and then we're going to understand here how to further understand our code, okay? So bear with me a second while I pull this up. Okay, week 1, day 2. And we're going to look at this here. Okay, I'm going to put this in our Discord chat. We're going to break off into groups and T-diagram these together. Okay, and off we go. Christian, would you help me create the breakout rooms while I go ahead and paste this into the chat?
Yeah, it seems like I don't have co-host.
Oh, okay.
Did you want the breakout rooms to be just random?
Just random groups of 5 if possible.
Okay. Let me see.
If not, I'll create them right now.
Heidi's a pros.
Got
it.
Should be good. 1 second. Exchange this one. Oops. Okay. Wait, I want to exchange this one. Okay, that's good. So all the breakout.
Ouch.
Okay, and we're back. So thank you guys. Let's go ahead and present our group answers here. So for the first one that I pasted, which actually I pasted twice at the very beginning, at the end as well. Let's have a group present that one. If anyone would like to volunteer their group, the one that says var a equals 25, then a equals a minus 13. Did anyone work on that one?
I can say our group did.
Thank you. Brian, would you like to who in your group did the work that we can present?
Nicholas,
I can
I think
present
he
it
has
right
the
now.
visual.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we see the one window. Is there a way you can share your whole window so that we can
Yep.
see both the function and the let's go ahead and get a reshare here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No problem. There you go. All right. You should be all right.
Yeah, we see it now. So go ahead and pull up your
A little.
diagram and then take it away.
Cool. Okay.
So which one are
Do
we
you see
working
the
on?
Excel? The
Could you
Excel sheet?
highlight it for us? Yeah, we see the Excel sheet. And which one specifically are we
This one.
okay.
Right here.
Okay, so the one at the very top.
Yeah. So Do you want to run through it, Brian, or do you want me to run through it, Brian?
Either way, honestly, like I can,
All
can you
right,
guys
I
hear
can
me?
run through it. No problem. So
Go for it.
basically, yeah, I hear you. Sorry, there's a little delay, Brian. It might be on my end.
No worries, you guys are good. Just someone present.
Okay. All right, cool. So the first variable is A. And basically, at first it's labeled 25. So that's kind of how that pans out. And then the next line, you subtract 13 from it, so it should be 12. And then the next line, you divide A by 2, and that would be in the console, so that'd be 6. And then the next part of it here, A becomes hello, so that would be hello. And then the console log is A plus hello, so it should be hello space hello,
Okay.
and that's that.
Okay. So just a quick hint here. Whenever you're printing the value in your T diagram, you want to list all the values so you can see the changes. So at first, I mean, I think you've done it, but I think just the way your Microsoft Excel just overlaps the previous value. So at first it's going to be 25. So we want to see 25, then a comma, then A equals A minus 13. So the next value, and then hello. Yep, like that. So that's much better. Very well done. Thank you, guys. Round of applause. So would another group like to present the second one?
We can go. I can do the second one.
Okay, thank you, Ramon. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for our loop, I'm sorry I don't have like the whole screen share deal set up. Okay. I think I did it. Okay. Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay, so we just wrote on paper to like figure it out. So I'll share my paper. Our variable in our for loop was I. And as long as I was less than 10, we added oh wait, I just realized I might have messed up.
That's okay.
Okay. So I'll go with what we originally had. As long as I was less than 10, we added I to 3. Well, we added 3 to I. And this is what our little T chart looked like.
Okay.
So 3 plus 0 is 3. Then 3 plus 3 is 6, and 6 plus 3 is 9. So we figured that we console log I at 9. And since outside of the loop was a string, we'll console log outside of the loop space 9. But I think we messed up because I saw back in the for loop that we were supposed to add 1 to I if after we console logged I think.
Okay. Okay. So it's hard to correct. Sorry to comment on this, but let's do on the computer screen from now on. Paper is a great way, you know, but we just can't see it that well when you share it on your screen and see your screen.
Gotcha, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Would another group like to present for the third one?
I can do it.
Okay. Thank you, Dia. Go ahead and share your screen when you're ready.
You said third one, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you do it or do you want me to share?
I just want to use the whiteboard.
Okay. Mine are, oh, yours. Got it. Go ahead.
Fine. How can I do that, Josh?
Okay. Let's just share on Joseph's for now. We'll show you how to
Okay.
do that because we're running low on time.
Okay.
We got great handwriting here. You
Okay.
walk us through it though, Dia, and I'll follow along. I think we're on this one. Well,
Okay.
it's actually the same one. So we have our T diagram.
No,
Our
we're doing the third one, aren't
We're
we?
doing the third one. It was the one, yeah, that
Oh.
we never actually quite completed.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If-
I thought we were getting the right answer for lesson 2.
Okay. So perfect. you can just stay on this. Can you go on C7?
C7, gotcha.
Okay, so we have so sum started off by 1 because it says it's index 0 of the array of numbers. And all the way at the bottom, you can see that at index 0, the value is 1. So sum is 1, right?
Right.
As it's 1, we go inside the loop. Var equals 0, I is less than 3, and that's the array of number, that's the array's length. So we go inside the loop, sum plus equals array of numbers at index 0, so which is 1, and now sum becomes 2. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. So it
So wait, so sum plus equals array of numbers at I. So what is array of numbers at I?
1. Array of numbers at index 0 is 1.
Okay.
Okay. So now sum equals 2, right? And the
Okay.
council logs, the current sum is 2. So if you can just write the current sum is 2. No, write it out, I think. The current sum is 2, so I can, because that's what the council logs, yeah. Current sum is 2. Okay, that's fine. So now, okay, now we go back into the for loop. We add 1, so I equals 1. Awesome. Okay. So 1 is less than 3, which is the length of the array. So now sum plus equals array of numbers at index 1, which is 3, right?
Right.
So now sum equals 5.
2 is 3.
5. Because, okay, awesome. Because we added 2 plus 3 equals 5, and then the current sum is 5. Awesome. So now I is 2. 2 is less than 3. So we add up, we add to the sum the value at index 2, which is 5. So 5 plus 5 equals 10. Awesome. So now the current sum is 10. You log it again. Okay. So now I is 3. It's not less than 3. Okay. Awesome. So it exits the loop and it goes to the next one. Yes. The total, no, the total is the sum, which is 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that last console is the total sum is 10. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Great job, guys. You guys did it. So, don't worry if you're not completely grasping this whole concept yet. We just introduced it and it got a little bit more complex than just a basic for loop, right? So it's going to get more complicated than this. So you guys are doing well so far. Great job working in groups. We've taken some pointers here on how to T-diagram, how to do for loops. So let's get a status check real quick on how we feel so far. And if we have any questions, let's go ahead and get those out of the way now. Let's figure out if we have any doubts, any questions.
Is there any chance that we could go over the second one again? It seems like there was a little bit of confusion on it, and I don't think we really properly went over it. I don't think we went over what was.
Yeah, we're just running low on time. So would any other group like to present for the second one?
I can do it too again.
Okay, let's do that again, Dia.
Okay. So can you just open the problem again?
You want me to?
Joseph, yeah, would you help out? Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll do it real quick.
Okay.
So for the second one, you start off at I equals 0, which is less than 10. So we go in and we
Joseph, would we go back to this Excel spreadsheet if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah.
We didn't do this one in Excel, but I can type as I go.
Yeah, just erase what you have there for now. This is on the recording anyway, so we can access your work for the first one anyway.
Okay.
Okay, you want to walk through it? I'll write
Yes.
that for you.
So we start off I equals 0.
Okay, so on the value, we want to put a 0 on.
You don't have to put it with that. Just put it in council. Give me what a council prints. Awesome. Okay. So I is 0.
Got it. I'll get it. Go ahead.
Okay. No. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay. So it logs, council logs I, which is 0. And then I becomes 3 because inside the loop, it changes the value of I. Okay. So we go back up to the loop, it adds 1 to the I. So now I becomes 4. Okay. And now we check 4 against the 10, not the 3. So 4 is less than 10. So we go back inside, we log I, which is 4, and now 4 becomes 7 because that's what the for loop tells it. So it's 7. And we go back up to the loop, we add 1. So the 7 is now an 8. Awesome. So it logs 8. Okay. And then it changes the value of I to 11. 11 is not less than 10. So we exit, but wait, it's not less than 10, but we add 1 to it. So we don't go inside back into the, so you know how I was 11, we added 1, 12. 12 is not less than 10. So we exit out.
Well done. Okay.
So then the last, when we exit the loop, it prints outside of the loop plus I. Now I is 12.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay. Good thing we did that. Now, does anyone have any questions for this group? Okay. Great. Then let's go ahead and wrap up our algo work for today. We'll be at it again tomorrow. And then we're going to take a 10-minute break here. And then our next lecture, we're going to talk about CSS. Okay, so it'll be exciting stuff. Thank you, guys.